Hello and welcome to the 45th episode of the Saints Prime podcast. It's with me, Ollie. I'm also joined with Harry.
Indeed, yes you are.
And I'm also joined with Mikey.
Hello.
I don't know why I did it that way, but hey, we'll switch it up. It doesn't matter, does it? A lot of podcasts means a lot of episodes. We've got Palace on Tuesday, so we're going to give a little preview to it now. We're going to go through it. We've got questions sent in from listeners as always. What else have we got? We can do our predictions, our lineup predictions, but that's all for the future. At the moment, what we'll do is, we did at the start, I quite enjoyed it. Tiz, if you can do a little question, we'll reveal the answer at the end. Have you got a question for us?
Sure thing. So the year was 2014 and the date was the 8th of March and we beat Crystal Palace 1-0. But who scored?
Okay, right. Well, we'll reveal that at the end. Have a little think as the episode's going on, and at the end, we'll cover it. Tiz can give us the answer and see if you're right. So yeah, go for that. But yeah, should we go into questions next, Tiz?
We shall indeed. So Alfie.Beggar_ with 2 questions. His first one: do you think we should get Mahil or KWP? So Carl Walker-Peters or the Genk right back? Which one would you prefer to see come through the door?
I think the Genk one's got Champions League experience, right? That's the reason why he's been looking good so far, isn't it? The fact that he's been proving and showing performance as well in the Champions League. And Carl Walker-Peters, he's got something to prove, but in the past we've had players that have come here to prove, and like Che Adams did really well in the Championship, but hasn't really kind of kicked on in the Premier League so far. So I'd quite like to add confidence to our back four rather than putting in someone who needs to prove themselves, because people from the youth team can do that if they want to prove themselves and be that kind of upcoming player. You can go to the youth system and grab someone like Valerie or something like that. So if it was me personally, I think what's his name? Mahili?
Yeah, something like that.
We always decide to sign players with difficult names. But yeah, for me that'd be my choice. But what are your 2 thoughts? What do you reckon?
I don't think it will really make a difference, because I think both of them will be signed as a backup. I can't see Cedric really being dropped after the recent performances, and the problem is that if we do sign a fullback now, that means that Valerie might become third choice, and then that will halt his development. So I wouldn't say we desperately need a right back, but it might be nice just to bring in a couple of signings. It's always nice to bring in a signing, so either one of them I wouldn't mind.
Not in your eyes, but in Ralph's eyes, do you think the most recent loss will spur him into transfer action, or do you think he'll keep the same stance of it's still not a must? It's we can do this if we want to.
It seemed like after the game, the entire squad sort of just went, "Oh no, it's fine. We can kick on from this, and this is just a blip." Like, it didn't seem like they were like going back and spiraling back into their old self. I'd say if we don't get a result against Palace, I think that changes stuff. But not getting a result against Wolves, I don't think would make a massive difference, because we've gone 6 unbeaten. We've only just lost this one, and the first half was fantastic. So I don't think it'll be a massive thing to think about to bring transfers in.
Yeah. Okay. That's fair enough.
Yeah. So the second one from Alfie.Baker_, do you think we need to buy a starting centre-back or a young backup centre-back? Or neither?
I would save a centre-back for the summer, probably. And I'd probably be looking for exits first. So in the fact that someone's got to go before we bring in, because we have loads of centre-backs at the moment. But if a centre-back does go, so possibly Yoshida moves on or Vestergaard goes back to Germany, I'd look for a centre-back that can start the cycle again. So like a Bednarek, someone young but has got talent there and can, like Bednarek do, develop and then come into the first team. Because you've got to say that's kind of what happened with Bednarek. He joined, he didn't hit the first team straight away, but he gradually grew into it. And you've got to say if he's not our first, he's definitely our second choice centre-back at the moment, and has probably been the most consistent centre-back for, at least this season and the majority of last season as well. So I think that's the cycle we've got to do. That's the Southampton way. So if we were looking at centre-back, that's probably our best option to do, really.
I just find the problem with that is that we've tried to sign young centre backs. Like, you look at Vestergaard was 24 when we tried to sign him. Hoyt was 23 when he came in. Danto at the moment, he's our young centre back that hasn't been given a chance yet. And it just feels like every single time we sign a youngster, it's just knocking the ones that we signed the summer before down in the pecking order. So I argue what we need at the moment, because our defence hasn't been fixed by any of these young signings. What we need at the moment is someone that can be, that if we do need a centre back, if Ralph believes we need a centre back, to bring in to be our first choice centre back, and
definitely.
everyone else rotates after that. Because there's no point in bringing in a youngster when our centre backs are like probably the weakest area of our game.
Yeah.
So, bringing in a first choice, maybe a younger centre back would be a little bit too expensive for us, I think. But I don't think there's anything wrong with a first choice centre back who's 27, 28, prime, and like using their experience to help out the rest of them.
Yeah.
So,
actually, I agree with that, to be honest, because it is the fact that if we get to the end of the season and the centre back pairing we got at the moment, and you don't want to disrupt that, then yeah, fine, have a look at trying to bolster the team. And to be fair, I said that the only reason I'd want a centre back is if actually people leave, and by then to be able to be on a level playing field, you've got to replace. Otherwise, you'll be, if we lose 2 centre backs and we don't bring them in, then we're going to be low in our squad depth. So yeah, like you say, if it's still a problem the season, then yeah, I don't think there's any harm in getting some experience into that centre back and signing someone that's going to go directly into the first team, not someone that's going to take 2 or 3 years to kick on. Because if it is an issue, then it needs to be fixed accordingly.
Yeah, that's fair enough. I don't think it's a now problem for me personally. I think it's an end of season problem. And if I was in the board's position, I'd go, right, Stevenson, Bednarek, there are 2 centre backs. Get rid of everyone else off the book. So that's Danso, Vestergaard, Yoshi, and all the others, Hoyt as well. Get rid of them and then bring in one other centre back and leave the youth players that we have as the backup. Because if we're going to play that four back formation, we only need one backup centre back. So I'd use all the budget from the centre backs that we got rid of to bring in one new centre back, whatever age is needed. That's quite a good enough quality for the Premier League. Because at the moment, our backup. At the moment, I don't think Ralph trusts, and we need people that he can trust to be in our back line.
Yeah, very true, very true. Right, should we go for the next question?
Yeah. So the next one, Southampton news now. I'm not gonna lie, I'm a big fan of his questions because he switches it up a bit.
All right,
Who would you rather be stuck in an elevator for 24 hours with, Claude Puel or Pellegrino?
Puel would just be boring, wouldn't he? He wouldn't do anything. It'd just be oh god. It's not a great choice, is it?
No, it's not the first 2 people.
I think Pellegrino would be more entertaining, for better or for worse. I think Puel would probably a bit. I don't know. I'd quite like Pellegrino. I'd like to actually, if you were stuck in a lift with him, and you could actually have a chat about football with him, I would like to know whether he was completely incompetent or whether the players he had at that time just didn't believe in him at all. Because it seemed like we were trying to go for Pochettino V2 with him, really, didn't it?
Yeah.
And it just did not happen. So I'd love to ask him from your side what actually happened in that period, because it's probably got to be the worst managerial period we had for a long, long time. So yeah, I'd love to actually ask him what actually happened. Like, what from your side, what do you think went wrong, and see actually what happened there. But yeah.
I'm in a similar boat with Puel. I'd love to talk to him about the 2 cup semi-finals, what he felt about the fans' toxicity towards him despite finishing 8th in the cup final, the cup final itself, and also his time at Leicester as well. I'd love to know, what Jamie Vardy's really like behind the scenes, what that Leicester team was like, how he felt also being sacked, and how Brendan Rodgers replaced him, but also his time in France as well, because he did well there. I'm not gonna lie, it wouldn't be the most interesting 24 hours in terms of entertainment, but you
reckon you're stuck in there for 24 hours?
That's what he says. Who would you rather be stuck in there for 24 hours with?
He said.
So I'd say Puel, because I think there's a lot more that we could talk about with Pellegrino. He wasn't here for very long, so there's not a
No.
lot of bases we could cover. Maybe apart from
But
the
he
West
seemed
Ham
like more of
3-2
a nice bloke, wasn't he, as well?
Yeah.
Just like person-to-person basis, he seemed like a nicer bloke. So
How he got on
if
with
you're going to be in there
Buffal
for
as well.
24 hours, that might be a
Yeah.
factor as well.
Yeah, true.
Mikey, who'd you go?
I'd do Puel. I'd love to talk about what his plans for the future of the club would, because like it would I'll find it interesting to see where he saw a future, because he took like was it Nice?
Was it Leo? There's like, oh no, yeah, I think
He was at Nice, and he took Nice from like bottom of the table to European football in 3 years. So I'd love to see how he did.
Yeah, fair enough. Fair enough. You'd be looking for those managerial tips, would you? Is that what you'd be?
Yes, that's what exactly.
Fair enough. Okay,
the
right.
last one for today, JFB_Saints_1222. How do you see the rest of the season going? Listen to your podcast every episode. So thank you very much for listening every week. And how do you think the rest of the season's going to go, knowing that we've sadly lost to Wolves and got Crystal Palace in 2 days' time?
Oh man, it's gonna be. It's hard to tell, isn't it? You really don't know. Like if you said after the Leicester, would you think we're in the situation right now? It's one of a million different probabilities, isn't it? And you'd like to be hopeful because we're all Saints fans, and you see the ability there, and you see them week in, week out, and you believe that hopefully we can do something. But I think we've seen a really good turnaround after the Leicester game, and it's now. I don't think we'll sink that low just because we know we can do it, and hopefully they know now what it's like to be at the complete low. And they know what it's like to be at the complete high, so they can aim to get back there again. So you've got both sides. You can aim to be, if you're a positive person, you can think, yeah, I want to aim and get back to that place that we felt after Leicester, and I want that winning feeling. Or if you want to avoid those negative feelings and think, how bad was it after that Leicester game? If you want to avoid that feeling, you've got that as well. So you've got both sides of the spectrum there, and they've been at both of them, so they can aim for whichever one they want to either avoid or whichever they want to aim to. And Ralph can manage them as well and say, look, do you want to avoid that feeling or do you want to get that feeling? You've got both sides of it now. So I think we'll hit a couple more runs of good form, but I think that will come with good fixtures, because I think Wolves, they're a good side, and like we mentioned in our previous episode, they're Europa League, they're a good team, and although our form's good, they still probably man-to-man just outdid us that game. So when we hit a nice run of fixtures, I think we'll hit a good run of form as well. And I think, fingers crossed, I think we'll kind of peter out to maybe a 12th, 13th, kind of like our pre-season prediction. So, yeah, I think that's what happened. Probably about 12th or 13th by the end of the season.
Is we've got 3 tough fixtures in a row, and then it's like teams around us. It's Burnley, Villa, West Ham, Newcastle, Norwich. So in that run, we could pick up quite a few points as well if we try and keep the momentum. But
yeah,
it will be interesting to see how we play against Palace, because this is the loss that we talked about last week, I think, in how we will bounce back. And then Spurs and Liverpool are obviously going to be tough. We're not expected to beat either of them. So it should be interesting to see how we bounce back from this defeat.
Yeah, and I kind of mentioned that's all the questions, isn't it, Tiz? We can kind of go into our thoughts on the next game. I kind of mentioned before in the actual Wolves preview, so a couple of episodes ago, the fact that if we did lose against Wolves, and then we've got to go to Palace in quick succession, and then go to Anfield away, I kind of said you didn't want to lose the form, and if we got a draw, I think I did say that I'd be happy with a draw, because then it meant you could go to Palace, get something there, and then go to Anfield knowing you've got nothing to lose. But you think, if you don't go well at Palace, and then we kind of know what's going to happen at Anfield, then that's 3 in a row, and that can really kind of tip the balance a little bit. So, what are you hoping from Palace? It's away from home, so we can use our tactics to our advantage. We kind of turned into almost a better away team than we are at home at some point. So how do you think we're going to attack it at Palace? Are we going to be conservative, or we've been on a good form, so we're going to continue that good form? How do you think we're going to play?
I don't think we'll have a laboured approach. I think we'll do what we normally do. We'll play that 4-2-2 system, because they want to bounce back, and that's the way they know to play. My only concern is I don't want James Ward-Prowse to get too emotional in the situation. If he sees Zaha, he needs to calm it down a bit.
Yeah.
Because I love his passion. I love that he wants to get stuck in. but sometimes if we get some yellow cards early, we could see a similar situation to Wolves. Palace, they got a great point against Manchester City, so they'll be on a high as well. And they've got a fast attack, and Czech Tosin gets his first goal of the season against City.
Yeah.
So if you can get past City's defence, there's a good chance to get past us. But I'm still positive because it's not like we got battered by Wolves. There's massive positives to take. I think it just taught them that they can't lapse concentration, and they probably need to not have such a high line. They probably need to go a bit further back, because the amount of times we got caught on counter attacks. Palace is the exact same sort of team in counter attacking format. So I'm positive, but it'll be a similar task.
Yeah,
I think Wolves is a little bit of a slap in the face for the team, because we were second in the form table. You're thinking we could get European football at the end, and then they've just got a slap in the face and gone, you know what? No, you're not as good as you think you are. You still have a long way to go. Still have a lot to learn. So I think the Wolves result will end up being another, it's going to be another good thing to happen to the team, in the fact that it's just a bringing back down to earth. You may have beaten Leicester, but you still have to work hard for the full 90 to actually get a result. So, I think they'll want to bounce back. And I think the Palace side, they are a little bit... They stumble a little bit in their defence, especially against set pieces. So, hopefully, we get a result from that.
Yeah. And tactically, how do you think it's going to differ between Wolves at home and Palace away? How do you reckon? Wait, it is Palace away, isn't it?
Yeah, it's Palace away.
I thought I'd check, because I have stumbled through that a few times. Yeah, how do you think that's going to change? Because obviously it's a completely different ball game, and like Wolves were going to set up on the counter attack, but then we've got to go to Palace away. They're going to have a 4, whereas Wolves set with a 5. How do you reckon tactically we're going to change?
I think Ings will get more space against Crystal Palace, because, like you said, because they'll set up with that 4. I think we get more space to manoeuvre. I think they'll make, like I said the last time, there's always a mistake in Palace, and hopefully Ings will be able to get that. I think Shane Long will definitely be a key part, because he should start, and they're quite a slow defence, and he's quite a quick lad. So hopefully that'll do that. I don't think there should be that many changes. My only thinking is, what Mikey said, what Mikey said about Ralph, is that he said that Ings might not start back-to-back games, so we might see Che Adams take his place. Might see Shane on side. It'll be interesting to see when his press conference comes out, to see if we do have any niggles in. There might be some players might be a bit injured, so I'm expecting rotation, but it's difficult to say where when you don't know the bill of health.
Yeah, it's true. We haven't had the press conferences, so sorry, Mike, I didn't throw to press conferences. Also, I think we're a bit light on transfers, so I didn't really mention that either.
Yeah, Romeu could be leaving. There's something that came out saying that he's going to go to Celta Vigo, I believe, for 10 million. But I don't know how trustworthy that source is.
Him and Boufal have been rumoured to be going to Celta Vigo, but I'm not too sure.
Well, it's been a bit of a quiet. We can probably sum it up next preview, because obviously we're going to be previewing the next game, so we can do a nice big transfer and press conference there, so we can look for that next one. But yeah, back to the game. One thing that I think is going to be very interesting is, obviously we've praised Ward-Prowse for the amount of games that are coming up and that he's going through, and he's the kind of engine of the team. Palace like to play with a 5 in midfield, so they are going to look to try and take that midfield, and that's going to stretch Ward-Prowse and Højbjerg even more. And it's going to be a short recovery time between the game that played on Saturday and then away on Tuesday as well. Do you think, fixtures and that 5 at the back as well, a 5 in midfield, are going to catch up, or do you reckon he can still exceed and work hard to try and get the best of the Palace midfield?
We're not like conventional teams. We don't try and play through the midfield. Our main goal is usually try to knock it up to Long, and Long trying to nod it down or something like that. So it will be down to the accuracy of Long's headers, trying to get it to the feet of a Southampton player instead of just into a space where a Palace player can pick it up.
Yeah.
So I don't know how effective that through in the midfield. I know it was very good down at St Mary's, but I don't know if Palace are a little bit like us, where they struggle at home and they're better away. I think also another place they're struggling is defence. I don't know if Gary Cahill's still out with an injury. I'm not too sure.
He played against City, but I don't know whether
he played against City.
Yeah.
So because he was injured last time. and I don't know if Joel Ward's still out injured too. Because
Kelly's on the right, yeah. Kelly.
Yeah, so
they lined up with Readable, left back, not sure. Cahill, who can't assist. Tompkins and Kelly is their four that they had, and then Aita in goal.
So it looks like they don't have Van Aanholt either, and Van Aanholt is a very, very dangerous player, so that will be good news for us too. Or Milivojevic.
Yeah, again. And obviously we're going to see Zaha versus Cedric again. Are you concerned by that, or do you reckon Cedric can do well again to try and stop Zaha down that left?
Cedric kept him quite quiet last time. He didn't seem to have a massive effect on the game. So, yeah, I've got faith in Cedric. He seemed to, when Traore was out on the left-hand side, he seemed to deal with him quite well in the first half. And then when he moved inside, there wasn't a lot he could do about it. But, yeah, I'll say he could have Zaha too, because what happened in the first game.
I think it's harsh. The amount of times we say, well, this person against Cedric, this could be a worry. I know Cedric isn't a fan's favourite after what he said in the press, but I don't think it's a weak point. I think it's only a weak point if he gets out jumps. If he's up against a Peter Crouch-esque sort of player, then fair enough, you can say that. But he's a capable defender. He's not slow. He's a quick player. You know, like Mikey said, what I was going to say as well, he kept Traore quiet. That's why they had to move him into the middle, because he got no luck in the wings. Both Bertrand and Cedric kept him quiet, and we're good at outnumbering players when they're out on the wings, because we give a centre mid or one of our attacking mids support Cedric in that way as well. So I don't think him being on that side is a particular weakness for us.
Yeah, fair play. And now to the left of Southampton, rather. Redmond had a good game. Yesterday it was. Obviously, he's going to go up against Kelly, we're guessing. He made a mistake for the goal at St Mary's last time. So it could be a potential area to try and attack towards. Obviously, yeah, like I said, Redmond had a good game. Looked good.
Again, Kelly's a very capable defender as well. It's like this Palace side are very, very good defensively, and it proved that because the only way we actually broke them down last time is through intercepting one of their passes across their back four.
Yeah. We
didn't have a lot of chances against them, and this is the problem with the Palace side. If they do go ahead, it's very difficult to try and come back against it.
Yeah.
Because of how strong they are defensively. Roy Hodgson's a very good defensive coach, so it will be difficult to break them down, especially with Cahill back in there organising that defence, because he's a very good defender.
But hopefully what we will see is Redmond getting to the byline again and getting it across. And we've got a lot of pace in that side. And looking at their defence, it's not a very pacey defence. Like you say, they set up well and they're very strong. But hopefully, if we can counter, and I think that's the main way they're going to have to try and play. We are going to have to counter quickly to try and get the best of this Palace defence. Because if we're trying to break them down, it's going to be very difficult for us. But yeah, like I said, Redmond down the left, hopefully he could try and get the better of Kelly, get the ball across. If Shane Long and Ings can both play, then you think they can both have the ability to get in behind. If not, you think Che Adams is still fairly pacey and he's quite good with his body as well. So hopefully he can play off whoever's next to him as well. Armstrong's not the quickest, but can find that pass if we need it. And obviously we've got options on the bench if we do need to change it up and get more pace into the game. So I think that's going to be one of the main ways that we're going to succeed. Is there any other potential ways you think that we can try and get the better of Palace while we're playing against them?
I think that is the key, because I think they probably will outnumber us in the midfield, but is that wing place where I know Mikey said he's a capable defender, and I back that as well. But if there's any place that there is a sort of weakness, it is their wing back side. Reedvale did well against us at home, so that might be a struggle as well. But like Mikey said, I think the wings is probably the key to beating their man on the inside and flashing it across the box. Yeah, we really struggled to break them down last time. I think one of our best chances that didn't go in was from a set piece. So yeah, set pieces and playing it down the wings. I think if we're going to get a result, it's most likely going to come from those two places.
Yeah, and in the kind of the way that we're going to line up, do you think there's going to be any changes just because how close the fixtures are? Or do you reckon we're going to try and keep it as close to as possible? I know you guys said on the previous episode that you didn't want to see rotation because of, like a kind of reactionary change to the actual result. But if needs must because of fitness, do you reckon there will be changes, or are they fit enough to go straight into the next game without any changes?
It's
I
difficult.
think they've proven over the Christmas period that they can go game to game and keeping a strong fitness and keeping a good performance. So I think the only change that you'd really see is if Ings has picked up a little niggle, you go for Che Adams or Michael Obafemi to come in and put in a performance.
Who would you rather see?
I would. I don't know. I'd like to see Adams start a full 90 and be given a full 90 just to see what he can do. Because at the moment, like, he's coming on off the bench and he's making a small impact, but he's not really having chances fall at his feet.
No.
So I'd like to see him play a full 90 and actually have a look to see what he can do with 90 minutes. But also, I'd like to see Obafemi. So, I mean, I don't really mind which one starts.
And do you think if Chase starts, he can take up the target man role? And Shane Long could almost be the one with the pace to get him behind, because he has got that ability as well. Like, we do say he's a good target man, but he's multi-purpose in the fact that he can get in behind as well. So if Che Adams wants to say, look, I'll hold up the ball a bit, you get in behind, that could kind of change the roles a bit. If you could change between each other and say, look, I'm going to hold it up, you go, or Shane Long holds it up and then Che goes, you've got more of a both abilities can kind of change there rather than being predictable. Do you reckon that's an option that they could potentially employ?
Yeah, but the only problem... no, I'd actually say that they could both do the target man role and getting in behind. It just depends which one...
That's what I mean. Like, you can switch it
goes.
around to... Like you would with switching a wing, you can switch it around to say who's holding and who's going. It provides another way to make you a little bit unpredictable. Whereas if you've got like Danny Ings... Well, I guess Danny Ings and Shane Long, you can both do it. That kind of multi-purpose idea that you can keep changing, keep it fresh, and keeping those defenders on their toes, it means they've got more to think about. And especially with wingers floating in and out with our 4-2-2 system, it means we're more unpredictable, especially away from home on that counter attack as well. We're just creating more and more problems, hopefully. So, yeah, fingers crossed that's something we can see. What else are you guys looking forward to?
The thing is, like, with the Chelsea game, we had one day in between the two games, so people had to be rested. Whereas this game, we've got 3 days of rest. So it's interesting to see how much of a difference that makes in terms of recovery. We know who we want to play, but who do you think will get drops? Not drops, but rested. We'll say rested instead of drops, because that sounds performance-based. Who do you think will? Do you think Danny will get rested?
Possibly. I think he might, just because we know his injury concerns. I feel like if he has to be honest with himself, and if he is flagging, he's got to put his hand up, because he's done so well so far, and we want to keep him for as long as possible. If he doesn't have an issue, he needs to be confident enough to say, I can hit my form even with one game rested, and I'm not going to potentially, fault the squad as well as myself by picking up a big injury. I'm going to sit this one out. He needs to be confident in himself to do that and know that his form will last more than just resting one game. So hopefully that as well. I think the wingers, because they do so much running, I think we might see some rotation there. As much as I didn't want to see it, I think Armstrong may come out for potentially one of the two on the bench of maybe Gineppo or Buffal. Again, provides that pace that you could try and see to get in behind. So if we saw maybe Gineppo instead of Armstrong, that could be an option. However, I maybe wouldn't want to see it. I think, Armstrong is a different sort of player that we have in there. But then again, I wouldn't be surprised if he changes it up. Defence-wise, I think he should keep it the same, and Holding as well.
Well, even though he's coming off the bench, Gineppo had a massive impact against Crystal Palace. If we remember, he was the driving force in our attack when he came off the bench.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's, like I said, I don't know if it's because their defence was tired and he just came on, so he's got a lot of energy. Because he made that impact, I'd almost say that I'd want him to start because of what he showed in the home game.
Yeah, it's true. Like, it's pretty much exactly the same personnel that he's going to be playing against. And even if you switch it around the other way, Gineppo wears them down and gets them tired because they're all constantly chasing after him. He's a quick bloke. And then Armstrong comes on and picks the passes between their tired defence. It could be a different option to switch it round. And as the players are more tired, got more time, can pick that pass, take that shot, whatever, you can switch it around like that and say, look, Armstrong can have that bit of rest and then come on later on in the game. Because I think he does do well to come on to games later and make an impact as well. I think he's quite good in that regard. So, yeah, another option there potentially. But yeah, like you say, would you agree that defence and goalkeeper definitely need to stay the same, even though we have conceded 3 in 45? I think it should stay the same. Yeah, there you go. There's so any other kind of things that you're thinking need to be looked at? Anything that potentially worries you? Is there anything that concerns you, or are you feeling confident going into this game?
Even though you got pocketed last game, I still think Zaha's an obvious worry.
Yeah.
But apart from that, there's not too many. It's just them at home. They're just a difficult team. They get, like you said off camera yesterday, they quietly get on with their business. They do get good results. You know, I believe they got a point at home against Palace, not against Palace, against Arsenal. They got a point away at the Etihad. So they're strong, but in all different aspects. So that is the concern. Obviously, set pieces they're strong as well. Milija Hojovic playing it in, and they've got quite a tall team. So they've got a lot of strong areas, but nothing absolutely outstanding.
No, yeah, it could be. Do you think it's going to be a tentative game, or do you reckon it's going to be quite action-packed? Because I don't think Saints will want to exert themselves too much into it and leave themselves open. But then again, I don't think they're going to take it too easy to the fact that they're not going to just coast. I think they are going to work hard and press.
I think they'll want to prove a point. They want to prove a point that they'll say, you know, we're not that team that lost 3-2. But that's also the worry, that if they try and prove a point, they could get caught on the counter. So I think there'll be a bit of both. Certainly, if we go 1-0 up, then I think we'll maybe drop a couple yards. Same with Palace. If they go 1-0 up, they'll drop a couple yards. So it's all important, as stupid as it sounds, whoever gets that first goal. Yeah. Because that'll be a massive deciding point of the game.
And I'm looking at the table now. We're on 28. They're on 30. So a win can completely change either side's position in the league. You know, if Palace win this, we're then 5 points away from them. If we get a win, we're 1 point ahead of them. It completely changes the dynamic of the league if there's a result swing that goes either way. So it's almost nice in the fact that the game is so close because they've got something to prove and they can quickly change it. If they have got that ability and confidence to dig in and change the result, then you've got to say they've got that ability to do so because it's such a close game. And you've only gone down we've gone down one position, but fine. If you want to prove yourself, you've got it in 3 days' time. Go out there and make a difference and get back up that league.
Yeah.
I know that Palace have managed to get a point away at City and they're doing really well, but they do have a lot of injuries and a lot of one suspension, and that could really prove difficult for them to actually try and get a result. Like Townsend's out injured and he played well against us. Schlopp's out injured. Benteke, Luka Milivojevic is suspended. Max Meyer's out injured. Van Aanholt, Sacco, like they're all first team players that have picked up injuries. So
Milivojevic could be massive. That could be like you said, that could be massive.
It could be massive. So there are definitely faults in this Palace team that we can exploit with no Milivojevic. No Max Meyer, who played really well against us, who scored the original offside goal. He played really well. Van Aanholt, who's always a danger. Sacco, who makes their defence a lot stronger. So, there are definitely ways to get at this Palace side, and they are weak at the moment. So
and we're still fourth in the form guide. You've got to say we're still on good form. One setback, but you've got to say, hopefully there's enough confidence in that team to still say we are on a good run on the results. We can still do it. Yes, we were shaky in the second half, but that's a point for Ralph to say, look, you did it in the first half. Get through the first half, do well. Second half, we will adjust. And Ralph's probably going to say to himself, because there was some criticism for him not adapting quick enough to the changes with the Wolves game. You mentioned it, Mike, on the previous episodes in our reaction podcast, that you would have liked to see Romeo to come on and man mark Traore to stop his impact in that game. So possibly Ralph as well, you know, will kind of tone down, believe in his own hype a little bit, and will say, look, I've still got to be hands on and be confident in my abilities, but as well watching the game and making sure, because we know Roy Hodgson, he's experienced, he's going to know how to change a game and manage his team. Ralph, you got to say, is still relatively quite new to the Premier League, so he's going to still pick up little mistakes. He can't be too overconfident in his side. He's still got to be able to make the change when necessary. So it'd be interesting as well to see how he comes back from the defeat, because you got to say there's 11 players on the pitch, but there's a man on the side that's telling them exactly what to do as well. So fingers crossed, Ralph can find the right formula as well. Going into how you think it's going to go, predictions. What would you be happy with, and realistically, what do you reckon the score's going to be?
I think we already know your score.
I'll be happy with a draw away at Palace. Oh, okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'll be happy with a draw at Palace because I think they're a tough side, and it will take a very big and a very good performance to try and get something from there.
Yeah.
But I can see us sneaking a win as well, and maybe a 1-0.
Okay. Yeah.
Because Palace are they are tough. They're a tough side, but they've definitely got weaknesses. So hopefully we can try and exploit those.
Yeah. Tiz, what do you reckon?
I think it'll be a dogged affair. I feel like I'm gonna get sucked into your favourite. I'm thinking about a 1-0, but like what Mikey said, because they've got that many injuries and suspensions, if there's any time that we can beat them, and at their place we do normally get a good result as well. Apart from that 3-0 loss that we took a few years ago, there's a good chance. So I'm going to go positive, and I'm going to go. It's going to be a 1-0 away victory.
1-0. There we go. Wait, Mikey, I can't actually remember what you said. What did you say?
1-0.
1-0 as well. Okay. Well, I'm kind of banned from saying 1-0 now, aren't I? It's
so
like
you can say if you want. It's just I just find it funny. If you believe in it, you can say it.
No, I'll go something else then. Fine.
No. You can change your prediction because of us. If you think it's going to be 1-0, it could be 1-0 because it is inside the realms of possibility that it can.
Yeah, it is. 2-1. Let's go confident. 2-1. Up the Saints.
I don't like this. Since you've been predicting 1-0, we've been in a good form apart from the Wolves game.
I still think we've got the confidence. We're a good away side. You've got to be confident in what you've seen in the previous form. Let's go into this game confident. Why should we still be? We've had a setback in Wolves, but think of that first half performance. All we need is a reactionary performance in the second half, keeping a tight side. They will have to change. If they're going to go 4-5-1 and we get an early goal, they're going to have to change their side, pick the spaces, break them down, press hard, work quickly away from home. Counter press, counters from the side. We know they've got a slow defence, so breaking away quickly from our own defence and finding those passes. I think we can do well. If it goes right, let's go well. Let's confidence. Let's exert confidence. Anything can happen. So
we all think we're going to win. Let's go.
You two. Oh yeah, we all think we're going to win. Look at that. There we go. Right. I don't think we've had about 40 minutes of saying that. Oh, this could be shaky, nervous affair, but then we've all predicted a win. So
we've all predicted a win by a 1-goal margin, though.
Yeah, exactly.
So we don't think it's going to be a batter, and we do think it will be a cagey affair. But
yeah, it's going to be cagey. Yeah. Hey, go out and support the boys. Exert your confidence. Pick everyone up. Say, "Come on, boys, we're going to do this. Come on." And it'll be a good game. It'll be interesting. I'm looking forward to it. I like a midweek game, and hopefully we can get something from it. And we'll of course give our reaction after as well. Tiz, if you can give your answer to your question and remind us of it as well, just because I have actually forgotten.
I know it.
Go on.
So I'll repeat the question before Mikey said it. I'll repeat the question. The year was 2014. On the 8th of March, we won 1-0 away from home. But who scored the decisive goal for the Saints?
2014. I don't know. Mikey Mayman, what's the answer?
Jay Rodriguez.
It was indeed. Jay Rodriguez. I believe he just got the ball just before Speroni. And I think it just rolled into that. I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure that's how it was.
Well, there we go. Well done if you have got that. We'll do that again next time for the next preview. So have a look, see if you can continue the streak going if you did get that. If not, commiserations, but go again next time. And we'll see if you can get it. I don't think
that is that deep. I don't think they'll be heartbroken.
It's a bit of fun.
I would be.
But as there's a load of podcasts coming out, we're going to have a reaction straight after the Palace game, and there'll be a preview again before the FA Cup game. So they're coming thick and fast, and you need to keep in contact to see when they're all coming out. Have a look on the Twitter. That's the best way to see when they are come available. Stick the notifications on so you'll get a notification as soon as they do go live. We've got transfer talk on there at the moment, the Romeo saga. Tiz is carrying on the Twitter, all different things like that, updates, previews, all those different things on there. So you can click straight to it whenever they become available, and you can get a click to your favourite podcast host, Apple, Spotify, YouTube. If you want to see our faces, little wave to YouTube. There you go. You can kind of see us on YouTube as well. And also questions and reactions. Every time there is an episode, we also get your thoughts and opinions as well. We've had our questions that were really appreciated that got sent in yesterday, but you can get involved in the next one. Hear yours being read out. So Tiz, how can they get them in?
Saints Prime on as usual. We'll do it the day before we record, but also at the moment we're not posting that much on the Saints Prime Instagram. We're focusing on the Saints Prime Pod Twitter. So if you want to see the latest news, it's more likely that it's going to be on there rather than our Instagram.
Yeah, so if you do want to get involved, get your questions in and we can answer. We answer every single one. As long as we can answer them and not destroy our careers, then yes, we'll answer every single one. So there we go. Thank you very much for listening, and we'll see you for the reaction after Palace. Hopefully we're in good spirits, but you'll have to tune in to see on how we are and how the game goes as well. It's been me, Ollie. I've also been joined by...
You're letting me say my name this time.
Yeah,
Harry.
sorry.
I'm Mikey.
Yeah, there you go.
I am paying attention.
See you next time. Keep the faith, up the Saints, all that, yada, yada, yada. See you next time. Thanks for listening.